Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. So today's video is, as usual, I scrapped the other footage of what I actually had planned for today and did a entirely different spread. So I initially wanted to do another gouache painting session, but both of the doodles that I did I actually don't really like as much after reviewing the footage, and so I wanted to do something different and revisit kind of a old way of how I used to like doing my spreads in my sketchbook, which is using the Crayola super tips with kind of like limited colors and then going in with some kind of inking pen, medium, or anything like that to kind of like clean it up and refine it a little bit. So as you can see, I am going to be using the palette Color ENO for the initial sketching portion, and then after that I will basically color in areas with the Crayola super tips so that I can lay down colors or values prior to inking, as the pen that I like to use, which you'll see very shortly, is not exactly waterproof, so it's probably dangerous for me to add color afterwards, especially with these lighter colors. So the colors that I'm using today is just like a kind of like a peachy color and a light baby blue-ish color, and I usually like using these colors together. I have, I think, 3 blues and 3 pinks that I like using together, and yeah, I haven't done like a spread like this in quite a while, and I'm not too sure exactly why I haven't done this in a while, because it's, I think, the most pleasing to my eyes in terms of when I look back at my sketchbook spreads, because they're just filled with cute little doodles, usually minimal colors, because I try my best to limit the colors to a minimum of 2 colors and kind of like a maximum of maybe 4. But I think the sweet spot for these kind of spreads is 2 to 3 colors, just because if you have too many, then you're getting into a weird zone where you're almost trying to color match things. But if you limit it to like 2, so I usually like having at least one warmer color for like skin tone, or I don't know, just like adding a little bit of color to the skin, and then I usually pick some kind of complementary color or just a color that I think that would fit nicely with the warmer color. And usually, I don't know, I usually like using blue and pink together like the most. So the people that I'm drawing are of 17. Drawing Hoshi right now. I think like none of the people that I draw today look like the members that they're supposed to be, but I still had a lot of fun and I really do like the end result. So yeah, I'm starting with Hoshi, and I'm using the references, just like screenshots from Going 17 episode 24, which is like, I think it's called Tribal Games number 2. And I think it's called Tribal Games because they're revisiting like old games from like past Korean variety shows that they used to do. So the one that I was referencing the most was the second part, and it's where basically they're wearing like noise canceling headphones and they're playing music really loudly, and they're kind of like in a row. It's basically like telephone, except for you can't hear the person, so you kind of have to lip read the person who is given the word. And I don't know, I haven't laughed like this much in a long time. Well, not in a long time, but like this hard, I guess, because the sequence of June, Jonghan, Mingyu, Hoshi, Wonu to Joshua is so dang funny. Like, I feel like if you don't even like 17 for whatever reason, I do recommend at least trying to watch Going 17. It's freaking hilarious, and I feel like you'll even get to know the members just a little bit more, just by their personalities and stuff, by watching Going 17. So Going 17 is kind of like 17's own variety show kind of thing, where they make their own content of like either games or missions or some kind of theme. And they started this, I think, is it closer to 2019 that they kind of had these more like themes going on. Before it used to be more like behind the scenes kind of stuff, but now we have like Inside 17 for more of like the behind the scenes type of things. But yeah, so most of the doodles are from Going 17 because I wanted to pick something a little bit more simple, because I don't know, I haven't revisited this kind of style in a bit. And the style of eyes that I chose to do for a lot of the drawings for the spread is kind of what I consider like my derp eyes, because I don't really put in a proper pupil. I don't really add in a lot of different details to the eyes. It's just really simple. So it's like a white circle in the middle, and then the iris is divided up into two. So the top half would be dark, and then the bottom half would be whatever color that I colored in the entire like circle part of their iris. So yeah, that's how I'm treating today's doodles, and I actually really like it. I think the contrast of the black of the pen looks really nice with these lighter colors, and I have kind of like half the mind to just browse online stores and look for another set of water-based markers, because I really like the lighter tones and kind of more pastel colors for these kinds of doodles. I feel like when I do these kind of doodles and I'm using the darker colors or too many colors, then the line work doesn't really stand out, and I really like the line work for these. I think it's quite fun with the contrast like I mentioned before, and I want to see if I can find more pastel colors. But Crayola Super Tips are very cheap. Like, they're basically kind of like kid markers or craft markers. They're washable, non-toxic, and I have the 100 pack from like, I think, is it a year or two ago? I think 2 years ago or so. And I've always used them to just doodle with. I don't really make like serious illustrations with these. It's just easy for me to pick up a few colors, and I don't have to worry about the ink basically appearing on the next page like alcohol markers do, because they kind of like ghost onto the next page. So I might look into getting a different set of markers, but I do like the idea of using a set of markers that is very easily accessible, like the Crayola Super Tips, because you can buy them at like Walmart or like probably an office supply store or something for, you know, cheaper than some other brands that were probably marketed as like adult coloring markers for like adult coloring books and stuff. I've seen a lot, but it'd be kind of nice to have one that's like a brush tip as well, because I've seen those floating around as well. So maybe I'll browse a little bit more and see where I land upon, because I would love to have just more pastel colors. Like in general, the Crayola Super Tips I think have a good variety, at least of like darks and medium tones, like mid-tones, but I'm putting air quotes when I'm saying this, the lighter tones or like the pastel colors are still quite dark. So it's harder for me to find colors I like using together without making the line work get lost within like these blocks and chunks of colors that I have on the page. Another thing that I really like doing for these kinds of spreads is kind of like adding text or some kind of like, I don't know how to explain it, like the little ta-da marks, like the little strokes or like little expressional details, I guess, but you wouldn't see in real life, but they're like, you'll see them in like animes or animations or anything, or cartoons, and I just think it's more fun. It adds more elements to the sketches. And yeah, so the first doodle was Hoshi, and then next I drew Wonu, who's the one with the glasses, and then I drew Jonghan, who has the mole on the, technically on the left side of the page, there's like a mole, and then I'm drawing S-Coops right now, and then we have one more doodle at the top. So you can kind of see that I'm leaving like a little empty space right under Wonu, and I thought I was gonna leave much more space, but I decided to add text for S-Coops as well. But I was gonna put Gose, which is the shorthand version, like for going 17, somewhere on the spread, because I like to, like I said, I haven't done this in a while, but I like to kind of treat it as a way to record moments. So I would like to add what episode or whatever these moments are from somewhere on the spread. It's just like kind of like a helpful reminder, and I think it's just quite nice to add some kind of text because it makes it a little bit more bold and a little bit more fun rather than just leaving kind of doodles. So even for these sketches, I left them quite simple in a sense, because I didn't really do any poses or anything. It's mostly like headshots for all 5 of them. But like I said, I think I have a hard time kind of sketching without propping up my book. I think you saw at the very beginning that I was actually, like, I actually showed you guys kind of like the little spread that I did. Not even a spread, like little doodles of Inktober, or some kind of drawing challenge that I'm doing for the month of October. Which I drew Hoshi with using like these similar markers, and I really like the color combination. The blue, I chose something a little bit different. The one that I usually use is more kind of like a neutral looking blue, but this one leans towards a little bit more of a yellowy or like teal or mint color. Like it has a little bit more of that yellowy tinge to it, which I think matches with the peach a little bit better. So I think it looks really cute. But yeah, I think even in the past, I used to use like these alcohol markers, and they had a really cute peach color and a baby blue, and I would do some sketches using like the palette Color ENO or the Prismacolor Color Erase, and then adding those colors on top, and it always looks so pretty. But yeah, I think I'm gonna stick with using cheaper markers for now. I think that they're like the best to use for like doodling. It just feels like less pressure to like, you don't need to worry about refilling them. You just, I don't know, they last quite a long time. I feel like some of the pastel colors that I use, like even this orangey peach tone, I've been using quite a bit. So the ink has been kind of like a little bit more spotty. It's not as juicy as before, but they last quite long. I think like I've only thrown away one marker, but that's because I think the tip of it almost looks like it was molding for whatever reason. I don't know if the cap wasn't on correctly or if it was exposed to something, but it had like, the tip of it was getting dry and then something looked like it was blooming on the edge of it. But I didn't really mind. Like I think it was either another yellow, and in this set of Crayola Super Tips, there's like 5 yellows, and I swear like 3 or even 4 of them look the same. So like there's barely any difference. The last member I'm drawing is going to be Mingyu. And yeah, I mostly drew members from like the first team I mentioned, because their sequence of relaying the word was so funny, especially because of Hoshi. Yeah, I highly recommend you watch at least that episode maybe, or like those 2 episodes, because I feel like it's fun watching them play like the older games that you used to see on a lot of variety shows, which you don't see nowadays. Like you don't, like regardless of the pandemic, you don't really see that many variety shows where the members of different groups kind of like hang out and interact. A lot of it seems to be more like separating them, like they shouldn't have interactions and stuff. And that's something I miss from like a little bit of the, I think like 2010-ish era to like 2014. I don't know, I miss those eras where idols could kind of interact a little bit more, because it's kind of nice to see their interactions, but also like them having fun is quite funny, and I don't know, it's just relaxing to see. So yeah, most of the dark areas that I did, other than I think all of their headphones, like for Hoshi, Wonu, Jonghan, and Mingyu's headphones, I did add like more black to them. But the other areas that were supposed to be black, like Mingyu's sweater is supposed to be black and white, kind of checkered lines, and then Mingyu's hair, Wonu's hair, and S-Coop's hair, even Hoshi's hair was supposed to be black. But for Hoshi's, I think because I approached it differently first, I didn't know how I wanted to do the tone of his hair, which is why Mingyu's, Wonu's, and S-Coop's kind of has like the blocking in with the blue. But yeah, I think that's about it that I'm going to talk about. I hope you guys enjoy today's video and seeing me revisit this kind of like sketching style, or even the, I don't know, even like the format of me doing these sketchbook doodles is quite fun. I don't know, I like seeing a full spread coming to life slowly by filling it up from one corner to the other. I'm just adding some final text to the page, but that's basically it. I think I'm gonna try to do more, or try to throw some markers together again to see what color combinations work best. A lot of the ink hasn't dried on S-Coop's or Mingyu, so I was accidentally smearing it. So yeah, use an extra piece of paper to help keep your page clean. But yeah, I'm gonna go now. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye!